Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome. Friends from yesterday, if you joined Hamida's workshop, welcome again. And for new friends, here we're gonna have a great session with Hamida. And yeah, you wanna say hi to our friends?
Yes.
Hamida.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here today also. And today it will be a talk about .NET 8 as we explained it yesterday. So let's go to explore that. I am Hamida. I'm a Microsoft MVP in developer technologies, Microsoft certified trainer. I am Docker captain. I'm working as a cloud solution architect with large experience in IT. I have a background as a developer from still development, like development with .NET technology also. If you have any question, you can use the Q&A, or else if you can reach me in the end of the session or any day you have my Twitter, LinkedIn, by email, so my blog also. So .NET 8 is a pivotal release. It offers a new improved features designed to build a modern application and to optimize the experience of developer to build this application. And today we will cover how you can use the .NET to build a more efficient, robust, and scalable application. So we start with embracing .NET 8. So it's an overview about .NET 8, the framework, what you need to know. Next, we will see deeply the features of .NET. Next, we will see how we can use this feature to build efficient applications. We know that security is something important when we develop an application. This is why we will see how the enhancement in security and compliance. Next, we will see how we build, let's say, build scalable, robust application. That is the core goal for many developers. And we will see some, let's say, practical examples, best practices, real best practices to recommend. We have some example of real-world implementation. So .NET 8, it's this version. It's a long-term support release. Was presented on .NET Conf November 2020, last year, 23. And this version builds upon the success of .NET 7, and it introduces several enhancements aimed at elevating your development experience. So it ensures extended scalability and support for at least the next 3 years, coming 3 years, making it a pivotal release for a large, many organizations. So this session, let's say the session is really specifically designed for developers, IT professionals, or anyone who wants really to learn how .NET 8 can enhance the development of application, the different strategy, whether you are focused on web, desktop, mobile, or cloud applications. And .NET brings features that can significantly improve your productivity and application performance. So our goals is to see in deeply, to understand how the different features, and let's explore some, let's say, some real world scenarios with best practices. So let's start by diving into the core features of .NET 8. In this release, we have a host of enhancements that are designed to make your development process more efficient. So your application will be more performant and your cross-platform development journey more seamless. Let's start by the first improvement. First features here is new API and language enhancements. And in .NET 8, we have the new APIs based on minimal APIs. You will see some examples after, and language enhancement that significantly improve the developer experience. We see improved patterns, matching, for example, better asynchron or awaits, support, and more refined link, making your code cleaner and easier to maintain. Other improvement in terms of performance, we build application, but should be secure and performance. Performance is always, in this case, crucial, and .NET 8 delivers on this front with measured improvements. The garbage collector has been optimized, for example, runtime and GIT compilation have been improved, and overall memory usage has been reduced. This optimization ensures that your application run faster and consume fewer resources. If you use Visual Studio 2022, for example, I give an example, you can find really a great features inside a great add-on inside Visual Studio that allows you to see the performance of your application. So you are able to optimize more the performance of your application. And this is the goal of any developer, to produce performant application, resilient application. Another feature is related to cross-platform development. It's one of the standout features of .NET 8 is its enhanced cross-platform capabilities. Whether you are developing for Windows, Linux, macOS, mobile device, .NET 8 provides you with the tools and libraries to build, test, deploy your application seamlessly. So you don't need just to have a Windows environment. You have multiple tools for any environment, for any operating system. And your application can be deployed also with .NET 8. You can deploy it in Windows operating system or Linux. It can be deployed as a container. So we have multiple choices to deploy your application also. So we call that portability, cross-platform development. Another important features here to retain about .NET 8 is modern application related to building modern application development. And this release is tailored for modern web, cloud, focus more on cloud. So I see we have this morning a talk about Aspire, for example. So it's one of the project of Microsoft that's focused more about having modern application in the cloud, including containers, mobile, desktop applications, and feature like MIUI, this for mobile, and the latest Blazor updates make it easier to build interactive, responsive, and visually appealing user interfaces, while ASP.NET Core empowers you to develop robust web services and APIs. With these features in mind, it's really clear that .NET 8 is not just a number, it's just not 7. Now we will create just incremental improvement, but it's really a significant step toward for modern application development. Now, next, let's explore how this enhancement can help you build more efficient application. So we will now focus on the highlights of .NET 8, and we will explore the new features that make it such a significant release. .NET 8 marks a major milestone, as we said that it's LTS, long-term support, and we have really extended scalability supports, and it's really crucial for enterprise application that need to have a specific release improved, supported at least 3 years before moving to the next release. Let's start by the first one that is in here, enhanced JSON handling. We have handling JSON data has never been easier or more efficient. We know that we use JSON JSON file to, for example, to transfer some data. We use it for APIs. So it's a simple way, improved way to get data, to personalize your data. And the improvement in JSON serialization and deserialization support multiple numeric types. For example, you get more numeric types, for example, half, struct. And this feature enhanced the processing of half precision numbers, making them more compatible with modern hardware accelerator and neutral processing units. And these enhancement optimize really JSON tooling and accommodate a new numeric instruction in, for example, in a specific processor like Intel at ensuring a seamless integration with GPU computing tools. And here, if we talk about processor, GPU, we talk about performance. Streamlined property serialization from interface hierarchies in .NET. Here we introduce advanced support for property serialization from interface hierarchies. It simplifies how developer manage complex data structure. We know sometimes the JSON file can be more complex. So another way to optimize complex data structure, and this enhancement is crucial for maintaining concise serialization workflows and ensuring clarity and extensibility in your code, particularly across diverse application scenarios. We know the dependency injection is really important for metric APIs here. And in .NET 8, dependency injection has been integrated into the metrics APIs. This empowers developers to monitor more and enhance application performance. You say we talk again about performance seamlessly. And this modern structured approach to metric management is a standout feature for its user-friendly integration and its impact on performance monitoring. And we talk now about agility, about pipelines, so DevOps. I know we have another concept more large that is platform engineering. So all these concepts and how .NET 8 can be here, can add as added value for this. So if we talk about specifically empowering DevOps, .NET 8 significantly contributes to the DevOps landscape. How? By optimizing orchestrating capabilities and refining containerization processes. These improvements ensure effortless integration with continuous integration, continuous deployment, CI/CD pipelines in this case, enhancing deployment scalability and automating development to management workflows. The result is faster and more reliable software delivery, aligning perfectly with modern DevOps practices. So we know that's really important to automate everything. Now we talk about everything as a code, and we automate from the code to deployment to the updates. So we need to be more automated than doing things manually, and with artificial intelligence that is coming here to help us also more about that. At .NET 8 is improving that. So let's continue exploring the remaining key highlights of .NET 8. And where we talk about more here, we go more about coding using C# here, for example, introducing the get items method. It's another method coming here. And the new get items method simplifies data access within collections. It offering a more direct approach compared to conventional link loops or queries. We have direct item access instead of writing complex link query. We know sometimes our link query is complex, and this method comes to resolve to make it easier. So this is why get items, it retrieves specific items quickly and efficiently, saving valuable development time. So we are able to add some attributes, arguments inside the method, to use it with some specific arguments, and it helps us to write not non-complex, let's say, link query. So it comes to optimize writing our link queries. We have a performance gain in this case because particularly useful for real-time data retrieval or managing extensive dataset. This method will reduce overhead and speed up data access. We have a support for function pointers introspection, and here .NET introduced support for function pointer introspection, enhancing runtime analysis and manipulation of function pointer, for example, dynamic analysis. We have improved efficiency. We have enhanced also .NET Publish and .NET Pack comments. So we have efficient deployment and packaging workflows because it's crucial for that for software delivery. And .NET 8 brings significant enhancement to the .NET Publish and .NET Pack comments. I give an example to optimize configuration. We have deployment configuration are now streamlined, allowing for more consistent packaging for production-ready code. We have dependency packaging also. For example, applications are packaged along with their dependency, enhancing portability across different platform and cloud infrastructure. It's portable. Another element here, for example, for to highlight, key highlight is an introduction of another method. It's a shuffle method, and this method provides an efficient way to randomize elements within collections, adding a touch of uniqueness to your application. I give some use case, an example for simulation. We need, for example, to randomizing data for simulation, for example, it helps you for that. If we talk about games, so we have shuffling, cards deck, and generated randomized content in this case. And if we really talk about algorithmics as use case, it's useful for algorithmics, requiring effective shuffling, sometimes system like storing algorithmics. And we have simplicity and versatility, this method can allows developer to easily implement shuffling without writing custom randomizing, for example, logic. So it's really a good method introduced in .NET 8. So here we know that we would like to deliver secure, scalable web and desktop, mobile also application for seamless development. So we need that we have end-to-end services provide, and this is why we need to provide end-to-end .NET development services to ensure tailored solution for diverse business needs. We develop for business, for specific needs. So we need to develop faster with high quality, with security, ensuring security, performance, to be resilient in this case. And we need to build modern architecture in this case, like, for example, having microservices, cloud native development, DevOps best practices for seamless development experience. And this is why we have really multiple tools to consider to use with this coming not only from with the .NET 8, but to consider it's really for building modern application development. This is why we enable developer to build efficient, secure, scalable solution that meet today's business challenges. So now that we have already explored some core features of .NET 8, I recommend to see the entire features in the documentation of .NET 8, Microsoft documentation. But now we will focus on how these enhancements help in building efficient application. Start by the first one. Now we need to simplify things for the developer. This is why we will talk about code simplification. And this is why .NET 8 introduced various features that we already mentioned that simplify code structure and enhance pattern matching. We already mentioned that in one of the different features, core features, new link operator, different methods, for example, and improve it asynchron, await programming. So we have a different feature, and this make it easier to follow best practices and maintain specifically always consistency across projects. Now we talk about performance. We need to specify more about memory and resource management, because efficient memory and resource management are crucial for high performance applications. And .NET 8 includes an optimized garbage collector. We already mentioned that on the highlight of different features, better memory usage, and streamlined resource management practices. And these improvements ensure that your application are not only fast, but also light on system resources. We talk about Visual Studio, VS Code, for example, Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio 2022, and the different, let's say, feature inside both of them. And this is why we need to focus more about developer productivity tools. If we offer great tools to developer, faster, great tools, so we are able to produce faster or to implement faster our application. And productivity tools are essential for efficient development. In .NET 8, debugging, profiling, intelligence have all been enhanced to provide better insights into your code. So you can quickly identify uh, bottlenecks, for example, monitor memory usage and leverage code suggestion to boost productivity. And you have Copilot that help you also to optimize. It's artificial intelligence tool integrated in Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio 2022. It helps you to improve your productivity with great suggestion. So we have deployment improvements, and here we would talk about CI, CD, Azure DevOps, for example, GitHub as a way to create pipeline, to manage, to deploy automate the deployments, our pipeline to any place, to any platform, let's say. And deploying application efficiently is a key to modern development workflows. So in .NET 8 has made significant strides in this area. It's offering improved single file deployments in this case, and to reduced container sizes, for example, and better build optimizations. And this ensures that your application are easier to deploy and more portable across different environments. And all of these enhancements work together to create streamlined development experience, enabling you to build efficient, high-performing applications that deliver exceptional user experiences. So let's move to the next part, and we will see how enhancement.NET can bring to security and compliance to ensure that your application remain secure, compliant with industrial standards. So security is really top priority in modern application development, and .NET 8 brings several enhancements to ensure your application remain always secure, compliant with the industry standards. Let's start by the first one, security best practices, which means that .NET 8 introduced new and improved security mechanisms that make it easier for developer to follow best practices in authentication authorization, for example. So in .NET Core, for example, ASP.NET Core Identity, it's more streamlined, and you can now customize authentication workflows using policy-based authorization. Give you an example. Another example in data protection. So for security best practices, so .NET 8 enhances data protection with improved encryption, algorithmics, and secure key management. So it integrates seamlessly with Azure Key Vault. If you would like to use secret storing, for example, you can use to store your sensitive information. You can use Azure Key Vault for in this case. The next one is compliance features. So which means that we need to maintain compliance with various industry standard crucial like GD, PR, for example. I'll give an example. So .NET 8 support different compliance requirements like data anonymization, encryption, audit logging, helping organization to be to adhere to different standard, multiple standard that you maybe know. Logging and auditing so in this case, It fall under also compliance features because enhanced logging capabilities in this in .NET 8 enhanced logging capabilities improve that with different tools also and help organization maintain detailed audit trails, essential compliance. Now, we talk security, we need to talk about threat detection. So we have, let's say in .NET 8, it employs AI-based threat detection to identify, mitigate vulnerabilities. So you have threat detection, and the built-in threat detection mechanism uses AI and machine learning models to identify suspicious patterns in real time. So you can improve, you add your specific models, in this training models in this case, to improve more the detection, the threat detection. We have also vulnerabilities management. In this case, for example, it provides proactive vulnerability detection and management, alerting developers to potential issues and providing guidance on remediation. And finally, to finish with security here, with enhancement in security, so we have secure coding guidelines, which means that secure coding is really essential in building robust application. So we need to get always updated with guidelines and keep an eye always on documentation of .NET, on Microsoft documentation, because .NET introduce updated secure coding guidelines that emphasizes best practices like input validation, how we did it, improve it way, output encoding, dependency management. We have different compliance. For example, developer can ensure their application comply with the OWASP top security risks, including injection attacks, and much more. We have other norms here in security. And for dependency injection, so we need also to secure how we around that. So we need to monitor the different metric to monitor all the to monitor everything related to dependency injection in this year. Let's move now to talk about how now today's rapidly evolving tech landscape. Now it's really moving a lot of technologies now, and building scalable and robust application is paramount. So .NET 8 introduced different tools and best practices to help developers to achieve these goals efficiency. So different tools for scalability. So so we have different other tools other than Visual Studio. Here we will talk more about load balancing. So we can use built-in load balancing for web application and services to efficiently distribute traffic, for example. Other tools for caching. So you need to implement distribute caching with memory cache and distributed cache, for example, to reduce database load and improve response times. We have also asynchronous programming, so the enhanced async await features. We have multiple features here added to improve that. The second, let's say the second one is robustness features. So robust application must at least handle errors, provide clear logging, and offer diagnostic tools in this case. So like we have more features, improve it, let's say global exception, handling via middleware, ensuring consistent error response across your application. If you talk about logging and diagnostics, we have enhanced logging framework, for example, iLogger and Event Source. It provides detailed insight to your application, behavior, and performance. Uh, Other diagnostic tools, .NET counters, event pipe, purview, for example, to help monitor application health, identity, performance in this case. We have different use cases to consider, for example, to scale for scaling fintech services. For example, fintech company use .NET 8, new feature to scale their services, background services, offload offloaded long-running background tasks to asynchronous services, reducing user-facing latency. For this company, also, when it use .NET 8, if it's a distributed application, so it will be microservices architected in this case to consider, and .NET 8 allows you to build microservices based on microservices architected and adopted Microsoft architected using ASP. I give an example: ASP.NET Core, gRPC. You can have APIs also, but improving scalability and service isolation. We see some examples after. We have for the same company, for this use case, you can build distributed caching, like, for example, using Redis caching to reduce database queries, improving response time. So it allows you to add some tools internally to improve the caching, distributed caching. Another use case for this is for fintech company. It can be healthcare, for example, application, and in healthcare provides implemented robust error handling and diagnostics in their application. So for healthcare applications, sometimes we need exception middleware to have. We need to have integrated global exception middleware to handle errors, to provide a consistent user messages. Logging, for example, with iLogger to get implemented structure logging to identify and trace issues. And we need to add health check, for example. You can use the interface iHealth check to monitor the health of critical services that you consider it really critical if something happens to this service. And dependency triggering alerts on failure, for example. So we have, by leveraging these all features, different elements, these use cases, you can build scalable, robust application. And it's not only for healthcare, fintech, for any other application distributed complex. We will move here some practical examples, best practices after we finish by best practices. For example, I start by a simple one, web application. I want to implement performant web application that includes API. So I need, and with user interface. So in this case, front end, let's say application with specific API. So we can use minimal APIs because they offer a lightweight way to build HTTP API quickly. So we have multiple features improved in .NET 8 with minimal APIs. So it's already always improved, like route handles, simplify routing with direct route handlers, improvement in input validation to get the standards that we get, industry standards. So it's security to secure our entry input information. So we have some byte async, for example, for type-safe input validation and dependency injection. We have directly inject dependency into root handler and more concise code. For Blazor updates, if we talk about Blazor update, we have a lot of improvement on Blazor WebAssembly, like optimized WebAssembly loading, reducing download sizes, improve it. In this case, we improve the performance. In server part, we have also Blazor server, some improvement like enhancing signal hour protocols. Here in this case, it's reduced latencies, offering a fast user experience. This is simple, let's say, an example. I'm starting with a simple example to go to a complex example. Here we have, this is the second example related to cloud native service. I would like to move to the cloud. I have distributed application. It's a really big application. In this case, we start talking about .NET, ASP.NET Core. Here we talk about Kubernetes, but it can be containers if you would like to be more generic. So if we talk about the first application, it's distributed application. So I'm going to use microservices architected. So I design microservices using ASP.NET Core and gRPC for more specific. I will be more specific here. We see why. In this case, for this example, in this scenario, let's say. So we develop RESTful services with minimal APIs. It's more simple to do. And we use Swagger that allow us to test our APIs. It's really a good, great documentation, UI, API documentation behind, and we can test our APIs using Swagger integrated already in your any application. When you create your web API, it's really integrated by default in when we create that by default in the template of ASP web API. For gRPC, why in this case, in this example, we will use gRPC. It's really for efficient service communication with binary serialization. So this is the first part about architected. Okay, I structured my this is I am a software architect. I selected some technology. I start building my application. Now, where I will deploy my application, I'm going deeper. And it will be, in this case, distributed. We have multiple, if we use containers, we need to have orchestrator. And this is why we consider Kubernetes deployment. So we start by containerization, container services using Docker and .NET's optimized container images. Yesterday I presented a workshop about that, how we create that, and you can follow that to create your first container. It can be applied for multiple container, but we will use Kubernetes, a new layer to orchestrate between these different containers. Okay, for configuration and secrets management, I'm using Kubernetes config maps, for this case, secrets for secure and environment-specific configuration. For monitoring, I can use, if I'm just working internally, I can use Grafana, for example, or can use Azure Monitor if you'd like to deploy on Azure Kubernetes services. You can use Azure Monitor. You can use any tool for monitoring. So the goal is to monitor service health and performance to get metrics and dashboards. So we can combine Prometheus with Grafana, or we can only use, for example, Azure Monitor to get metrics and dashboards to get specific dashboard, UI dashboard to follow, to monitor better. Another example that is really more specific here, this cloud for cloud native service. So the previous one, containers also. Another one where we mentioned other technologies, let's say other framework, other technologies. For example, here we create scalable microservices, in this case, but with .NET and Dapper. What's Dapper? So Dapper Distributed Application Runtime is open source, event-driven portable runtime for building microservices. And it provides building blocks for state management, service innovation, pub sub messaging, and much more. So the benefits of using that with .NET 8 is that simplify integration with cloud native services, and enhanced developer productivity and microservice portability. And we have unified logging, tracing, and metrics. Now, I'm thinking about the design of our cloud microservices. So we have modular scalable microservices architected. So we think about that. So what includes? So we try to architect the Maya solution. In this case, we need to incorporate DARP sidecars for each service. I give an example for key components here. We have first service, that is order service, manage custom orders. I have another service for inventory, for example. It handles inventory management. We have another one to process payment. And here I need, because I will use APIs, I need to API gateway. It's unified access point that allows you to communicate between your application and your APIs. I need also message broker, for example, Redis, RabbitMQ, so it depends. So Azure service, bus service, for example, it depends where you would deploy, but I give you some other options for pub and sub communication, pub publishing, and for everything related to sub communication. So we need a synchron message broker in this case. You can see we have different components, building services, setting an API gateway, setting a message broker. It's another scenario also to consider. Next, what I had to do, I need to create, configure Dapper components like state store. In this case, I'm thinking about Redis, Cosmos DB, depends. For messaging, for example, I can use Kafka or Redis streams. I need service to service invocation. It depends from the solution itself. Next, we start implementing my different microservices. They can be, in this case, minimal APIs for different services. Here we have order, inventory, payments. And we go back to where I will deploy. I can deploy it internally, Kubernetes, so you can create your own cluster Kubernetes internally. Or if you'd like to use cloud solution, we can deploy on Azure Kubernetes service, more simple. It's managed, more managed because Kubernetes is really complex to set up internally in your organization. Internally, set up a cluster or more than one cluster. You need to select the solution. It have different consideration. And for monitoring and observability, you can use any tool. So, and to summarize all of this, we here we selected a Dapper because it reduced the complexity of microservices, communication, and management. And really for .NET 8, we have different improvements that provide a solid foundation for you. You can create modular architected that make it easier to scale services independently. And we say that orchestrator containers, it comes here to resolve different problems related to deploying your different microservices. Now, so we applied minimal API, we have cloud native patterns to consider also for effective development when you try building your application. Best practices here to consider here, some best practices need to know that leverage asynchronous programming for efficient IO operations in this case, which means that you need to use async wait patterns always tasks task combinator, for example, execute multiple asynchronous tasks concurrently. You need to respond to the first completed task from a set of tasks. You can use when any, for example, you have different, let's say, improvement for that also. The second best practices is to follow the secure coding guidelines to ensure data safely and compliance. We already mentioned that different improvements in .NET A, but keep always reading. Let's say I recommend to read more about Microsoft documentation to get more. And the third best practice, optimize the performance through caching. You need to set up always a caching mechanism. You need to monitor diagnostics and efficient data handling in these cases, or exception, everything. So three best practices, you get more, maybe. And real world here we have we don't have a lot of time, but I'm trying to present some scenarios to performance optimization with source code here. So for minimal APIs, for fast web services, the challenge is building a lightweight web service with minimal overhead. And we have minimal APIs. This is an example. Reduce boilerplate, improve performance and startup time. Another scenario to distributed caching, optimize it, caching with memory cache. And here an example we can see in using memory cache providing a building performance caching mechanism. So we have efficient cache management and reduces database calls in this case. Here we talk about specifically mobile and desktop applications. So we need cross-platform application without rewriting codes. I develop apps and I can deploy on mobile, desktop, and web application in this case. And here we have an example, multi-platform app UI that's building cross-platform application. This is write apps, run anywhere, single project targeting multiple platforms. Here we focus more portability and reduce the time. Another one is we already talked about is using containerization in our development. So we need to specifically in microservices architected, for example. So this is an example of Dockerfile, and here we build and run containers. We need simplified deployments related to deployment, optimize it for cloud environments. We use gRPC for efficient communications. We already mentioned that. This is an example of protofile, an example here, to low latency communication. I need to implement the service here. Another example here, our service. As you can see, some examples, C#, using C#. So faster communication compared to REST, strongly typed contract with .proto files. Another challenge for modern authentication practices, it provides improved support, for example, using OpenID Connect here, another examples. You can see another example integrated in program.cs, and we improve enhanced security support modern authentication. So we thank you for joining me. So we can start. I will see if we have questions here. I'll check if we have questions.
Thank you, Hamida.
Thank you.
Thank you for give us a great insights of the highlight features of .NET 8. As far as I can see, we don't really have any question.
Yes, I don't see
I
also
can
any question
hear,
here.
yeah. Do you have any questions? The friends who are being here with us? Because we still have like a bit moment
Yes.
for the Q&A, so please don't hesitate. Just write down your question and Hamida will answer. Or don't worry. So if
Seems to
later,
be
if you,
clear.
yeah,
Also.
if you, yeah, that's as I said, like yesterday, because your workshop, as your talk today, is very clear explaining. So I guess people they are just, oh, I seems like, do I have some question? Not okay. Maybe I need some time to reflect. So
Yeah, all right.
guys, don't forget to reach out to Hamida by her social media or GitHub page. You can send your question over there as well,
Yeah.
or you can also join the discussion hub. Later, leave your question. If we see, we will also deliver the message to Hamida. So thank you again to everyone for being here with us, and big thanks to Hamida for your quite enlightening talk. And I think it's a
Welcome.
great lesson for all the developers to get
Yeah.
some insights of .NET 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope to, so time to say goodbye, but hopefully to see Hamida again with us next year.
Yes. 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 Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.